In today's video, we're going to be making a sample drill beat, and I'm going to just be showing you creative ways to chop your samples or even just play your samples and create variations on top of just having a different kind of workflow and approach to your beats. And I'm also be going over a different way of doing the 808 glides in this video. So make sure you stay in tune for the whole thing. So let's just jump right into it. So I'm going to just do shift and mute. That's going to bring up sample edit mode, and you can always double tap mute. As you can see, I have a drum loop pulled up and it sounds like this. So off the back, you're already getting that kind of drill vibe. And that's one of my approaches too. No longer am I thinking like, oh, I gotta make a whole new drum loop that is still gonna sound similar to the genre that I'm already making. I'm just gonna take this drum loop as is, but I do want this drill beat to be 140 instead of 142, because drill beats ranges from like 140 to 143. The way I'm gonna do that is go to process. Since I already have the tempo, it's gonna make this part a lot easier. Go to time stretch. And then you just want to bring up the beats until it's a reasonable number. So, and you want to go by eights because they're counting the beats within your measure. So obviously it's not 8 because this is a long loop. And this looks like it's a 4-bar loop, so maybe it's 16. And then you will see from here, okay, 71. Now that is correct, but usually we like to make our drill beats in double time. So we're gonna double 16, and that's gonna give us 32. So now you see it's a more reasonable number, it's 142. And I'm just gonna make it 140 exactly. And then press do it. And then I could just easily assign it to a pad. So this is my first program. I could just press do it. And let's just rename this to stay organized. And now I could just record it in. I'm gonna go to this eye icon that's gonna pull up the shortcut to this mixer, and then I'm just gonna insert flex beat. So flex beat is in harmonics section. So we could get creative with our flex beat. Let's just hear some different effects. That's pretty cool at the end. Yeah, that's pretty dope. Ooh. That little dun, dun, dun. So I actually have an in-depth video on how to use flex beat, but no longer am I trying to automate it by switching from read to write and then just kind of tapping it in and holding it. Forget all of that. What we're going to do is just automate it, but I'm going to show you how to do that in grid view. So let's double click main. We want to go to automations, bring up this arrow, click on velocity, go to add new, and then you want to just go to your program. You could also go to individual pads, but we already have the drum loop in this one pad, and you will see your effects that is on this program. And we just want to mess with the dry and wet, so click that in. Now for this one, I actually want to extend out this loop just for 8 bars. What I'm gonna do is go to sequence, pencil tool, and then just double the length real quick. So now I got 8 bars. Go back to grid view, and then let's just start that back again. Drum loop again, insert, and then dry wet. So on the 8 bar, that's where I want to do that dun dun dun. So we could just zoom over to the end, and the last 8 bar is going to be like right here. So let's just draw that in. So everything else I could just use my finger to make it go flat. Make sure you get the other part as well. It could get kind of crazy until you start practicing automation. So let's just hear how that sounds. So now, from there, we already switching it up, and we could even just add another flex beats. And let's find another one. Let's actually go to the stutters. Ooh, it got that nice roll in stutter pattern 1. So we're going to just do the same thing, double click, and then we're going to go to our velocity. Now we can't use this one because this is the first flex beat, so you don't want to mess with this one. This is a whole different flex beat that we're using. So add new again, program loop, and go to insert to flex beat and do the dry wet. Now I actually want this to come in a bit early, so let's just draw this in. I want it to come in on the 2nd bar, 2nd half. All right, so let's hear that. So before, this is how you delete it, by the way. It didn't have that roll, and then I could just press undo to bring it back. Let's see if we bring it a bit earlier, if that makes a difference. I could just leave it at that. So now we can move on to the sample part. I'm gonna go to track 2, name it sample. Remember, stay organized. And I'm not gonna change the program right away. Let's just do shift and mute and go to our sample chop. This is gonna make finding our sample chop easier now that we have a drum loop, because a lot of the times you may have a problem where you're chopping up a sample, but you can't fit it to the metronome properly, or you just don't even know how to go about doing so. Now I have videos on that, but we're actually gonna take a different route, which is using our drum loop and then just skimming through the sample. Oh, I think I like something over here. So let's just bring this to like right there, zoom in. So I found a chop that I like. I still want to tune it. So I'm gonna go down a bit. Now you may hear that it's still not sounding on beat, but I got the part that I do want to just get more intricate with. So what I'm gonna do next is hit trim. So now we're in chop mode. I'm gonna do BPM, and yeah, you don't always have to extract it and then put it on a whole new thing. You could still have everything highlighted within the original sample and just go from here. So this is just another way to speed up your workflow. And now we can play that with the beat. So yeah, now that sounds a lot better because now I'm making my own timing. So we can hold down shift and convert. New drum program using slices. That's why I didn't set up a program before, because now I could just go and have my program right here. And then we could just record this in. And I don't have to really record that whole part in. Or actually, I could make a resolving point, meaning that the 8 bar is gonna be something different. So let's just see. Click in right here, press overdub and play to start from this point. But there is one thing that is sticking out to me is pad 2. So if you hear pad 2, it's like dun, dun. Just go to shift and mute. And then we want to go to our program, because from our program, we could adjust the slices. So from here, I could just actually adjust the start point, and let's see if that makes a difference. That sounds way better versus this one. Maybe we could adjust the start for this one as well. That part I repeated the pattern line. And you can always go to menu, pad 14, go to the envelope, and then, you know, mess with the attack. But other than that, that's fine. Like I said, I don't really get so crazy to make my chops sound clean. Now, what we can do to our sample chops to throw a bit of effects on it, nothing too crazy. I just like to take out the low end of the sample to make room for the 808, so I like to use the kill EQ. I'm not gonna go to any presets. What I'm gonna do is just turn down the lows. If we was to just solo this, you can hear the lows, and we just don't want that. So let's just go right here, bring this down a bit. I don't just want to cut it sharp. I still want a bit of that lows to have the sample sound a bit warm, and also kind of want to bring down a bit of the mids. The mids are a bit sharp, and bring down a bit of the highs. Let's just gain stage a bit. So I think we're missing around 1 dB. You could go up a bit more. Yeah, so that sounds a bit better. And then for the stereo width, I still want my lows to be in mono so that it's not just sounding crazy when you hear it over the speakers. So then I could just go here and just drop my lows. Now, this should have been like the first effect on the channel, but it's still going to do its job either way. It's not like it's a EQ before the compressor type of thing going on. And then I just actually just want to pan it a bit because it's a bit to my left too much. If you double click, you can hold down shift and just kind of get it into increments. So now let's move on to our 808s. So like I said, I'm gonna do the 808s a bit different. Instead of just loading like a 808 sample, I'm gonna actually go to the plugins. So let's go to our third track and let's just rename this real quick, bass. Go to the plugin and let's just switch this out for the bassline plugin. And then I wanna go to like the basics and I wanna use a open square. An open square just sounds nice and rich. And then what I like about it, if you do menu and pad 14, you can see like all the different things you could change. And right here, you can see it has a glide time. So if we just click onto that and then hit a note. Usually having it around like 50 to 100 is good. I feel like if you go too crazy with it, then it sounds a bit weird. We don't need that. So let's just keep it around like 100. And then I also just want to turn down the low pass filter. So we could just cut that down. Sound a bit muffled, and then we can still bring it back. So let's just get out of pattern and then we could tweak more of the settings. Shift and 16 levels because this sample is in C minor. If I go back and I go to the second track, you can see I labeled it C minor and go 16 levels. But keep in mind, we did go down 2 semitones. So if we start from C and we go down 2 semitones because that's how we pitch the sample. So 1, 2. Now we're at B flat and it's in minor. So then we could just use our notes and then that will have the scale for us. And then we could just mess around and come up with a pattern. So the thought process of coming up with the bass line is, there's many ways you could approach bass lines. You could always follow the chord progression, you could use some of the melody notes, or you could just listen to your own voice. Most of the times, if you just sound out your bass sounds, then you're gonna get a nice bass. Now we can add in our higher notes. I'm gonna actually just hit this pad bank up, be able to go up an octave now. Yeah, so that sounds dope. And also, if you mess with the note duration, you get like a better slide sound. What I'm gonna do is just duplicate the sequence by going to the sequence tab, pencil tool, and go to copy sequence over. Let's just change this to sequence 2. Do it. And then with the sample, all I'm gonna do is just duplicate the sample itself, keep the pattern the same, and then add our famous half speed. Half speed just always make things better. So let's just hear it. That's hard. And then, but with the half speed, I kind of just want the slide notes to not be there. I think the slide notes could stay for like the hook part, and then for the half speed, we could just keep it normal. Yeah, that's hard. And then from here, what we can do is go back to sequence 1 and just duplicate that because I still want that fresh pattern without the half speed. Sequence 3, do it. And then I could just come up with a different chop pattern. Let's just do that real quick. And this is all just coming from that one sample chop. So you don't have to always find different sample sections. You just got to get creative. And then obviously we could still go back and add that half speed and do the same like we did for sequence 2. And then we could even copy this sequence over, and sequence 5 could just be our intro. And we could just go back to our original one without the half speed and just come up with a melody for our intro. And what I'm thinking is just to kind of use that second pattern I did and kind of reverse the idea of it. So instead of going like, I could double hit pad 3. And for the intro, I don't want it to be 8 bars. I want it to just be 4 bars. So let's just do that. And then if we go to our song mode real quick, we could just press overdub, drop in that intro, sequence 1, sequence 2, sequence 3, sequence 4. So hopefully you guys got a lot out of this video in the sense of workflow and also in the sense of just not overthinking making a beat. Not every beat has to be made from scratch. Not every beat has to just be super original. It's better to just make a habit of making beats while learning to progress. If you do those at the same time, you're gonna have consistency and you're gonna be motivated. So stop looking at loops and samples as some weird, unoriginal thing. Look at it as an art form and see how you can bring your perspective to that. Like and subscribe, share with your other producer friends. Peace.